Good evening, everyone. I'm with Magburo, the only one for On Camera. On Thursday, September 12th, at the Museum of Fine Arts, Mountains, directed by Monica Sorel, was screening at the Museum of Fine Arts. This vibrant drama, Haitian demolition worker by the name of Xavier, is tasked to dismantle his Miami neighborhood to make way for an onslaught of gentrification. In this beautiful film, which is mainly in Creole, but English subtitle and Spanish is displayed wherever is necessary in the film. Smith Nazaire, known as Atibon, played an important role in my movie Struggle. And in this movie Mountains, he is the lead actor. And the film is phenomenal. It's a great subject and the acting is impeccable. So I will really encourage you to try to see this film wherever it's being displayed for the next time. You will have a chance to hear what the lead actor had to say with regard to his role in this film.
We have a small conversation that I want to have with a few of our friends we decided to pull up to just discuss this film, and also with the lead actor extraordinaire, Mr. Atibon. And without further ado, let's bring our panelists up here, right? Yeah, so we have Mr. Daniel Francois. Everybody give it up for Daniel. He is the founder of Boston. And where you want? The world is your oyster. Or your mountain. The world is your mountain.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
all right.
And then next to the stage, we have Miss Fenna. Let's give it up for Fenna as well. Founder of Soul Anyway, we can call you. The one and only. Atibon, I want to give you a moment to just introduce yourself, talk about the journey that got you here, just for a second before we jump into some questions.
Greetings, y'all. Bonsoir, messieurs, dames. Oh, yeah!
Okay!
Before I go anywhere, I want to acknowledge two angels who the ancestors put on my path. Namely Bill Singleton and my professor when I was training around the corner, not too far, and at ART, Mr. Marcus Stern. These are two angels that the ancestors brought to my life, and they showed me the magic. They showed me, Marcus, taught me how to be a badass actor. I want to acknowledge his presence. So, what was the question?
Just to introduce yourself, just to...
Yeah, my name is, I'm really happy to be in Boston. I left Boston to pursue my dreams as an actor. And this is, the dream, becoming an actor, and I had the opportunity to train with one of the best, and we sent me out to New York. I went to LA, I didn't like it, and we went to New York, a TV show brought me to New York, and I never looked back. So yeah, that's that. that's part of the story. I can go deeper, that's important.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that it was your dream that you pursued. There was definitely aspects to the film that really resonated with me. And I feel like a lot of us, when it comes to achieving or going for a dream, especially in a Haitian household, I am first generation, so I really, yeah, give it up for the first generation. We out here, my Creole might be trash, but you know, I try. Yeah, I could sense your connection with the character and how conflicting it was to be a father and somebody that wanted to support his son in a creative world, but also had the thought of providing for your family and also being a good husband and wanting the world for your wife. I just want to hear a little bit more about that connection to that character and how you were able to really adapt, because I truly believed you were Xavier.
I did too. I thought it was a documentary.
Well,
You're not the only one.
I'm really happy that my father is in this film too. This is the first time he's in the world.
Satellite. That's right here.
We have a different relationship growing up. I mean, this is a man who survived 40 months. He survived a lot of the atrocities of the divided regime, and both me and my mom, they want the greatest. They had their vision, they had their dreams for me, but they were not my dreams. So we clashed a lot. But eventually later, we mended. Yeah, we mended, our relationship. But it wasn't, to their dismay, Bohemia took the best of me. I was supposed to be proper, and I still cry the next time.
I mean, you look pretty fly without your tie, right? I said, flavor.
Yeah, free, yeah. Where was I? It was different, but and the character Xavier. With that background, with having a difficult relationship with my parents, they were loving. They loved the stuff out of me, but they wanted to see me. What's the word? Succeed, to have a proper job, the house, in the suburbs. But man, no.
White picket fence.
The white picket fence, no, man. I'm an urban rat, I'm a city rat, so I love the arts. The arts have always titillated me, I've always been attracted, even as a baby. I've always, I was attracted to the music, the beauty of Haiti, all the colors, and I came from, on my mother's side, there are tons of artists, musicians, dancers, painters, there were those, who I felt connected with, so again, to the dismay of, both of my papa and mom, I don't want to serious, I was, okay. Although I've been doing dope stuff, I've always been doing dope stuff,
So in real life, you were actually junior.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like, well, I guess during the process of the movie, did you find yourself connecting with Junior on a deeper level than
absolutely.
For myself too, I am Dominican and Salvadorian, and my parents, came to this country as well, and have high expectations for me, and
Blessings.
I do. I fought my way through. But you made me lose my train of thought.
Well, I think you were talking about the relatability to that lifestyle of having, being a first generation child and wanting to live a creative life, but your parents wanting whatever it was that the system really has been putting in front of us, saying that is the proper route to take as opposed to being a creative. We're sitting besides two wonderful creatives that are here in Boston that are making big waves in the city, and I would love to hear from Daniel and from Fenna to how were you able to connect to the characters? Was it more on Junior's side or Xavier's side, or what did you see that really connected you to the film?
Okay.
Or anybody else, honestly.
How you go past me? Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for the film and also how authentic the film was as well. So
I want to thank my professor.
shout out to
Marcus. Yes.
And Monica Sorrell. We cannot forget Monica Sorrell. She directed the film. She is not here, but we're just saying it.
But yeah, shout out to Monica Sorrell.
Yes.
Yes. So there was one scene that definitely resonated with me, which was when she went into the open house, and I felt stripped when she walked in. So we went from this colorful home that was full of color, and although I had been raised in a household that was filled with bibelot and just filled with things. And so now I'm older and I'm like, I like more of a minimalistic lifestyle, but I still love the idea of a cluttered Haitian home that I smelled the home from the That's what I said. And so I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing there's a resistance from her. Like she's walking through a space and what may be interpreted as nice, airy, clean, white, that, for me, that scene when she walked in the home was such a big contrast between the home that she created in her space, that I felt when she walked into that new home, that could have been hers, and he's trying to sell it to her, and she's very resistant, like, this is not my home. And I felt that wasn't my home either, because when that very first scene, when you see Xavier walk into the space, I was like, I've been here before. I have been here. And so I felt very stripped in that scene. And I could understand her resistance from that. But also, there was resilience too, because the house is falling apart. We all know that the house is falling apart, but it's like a comfortable resilience, meaning like, I know it's falling apart, but I know how to move around it. And so that's something that I feel like we as a nation, we as a people, have been given the most sour lemons, but yet we still find a way to kind of maneuver around that. Yes. And that's what I saw in that scene.
That is definitely a snap word.
Yeah, for me, I felt like the dynamic between Xavier, the father, and Xavier Jr. was so familiar to me growing up in my household. Not so much for me, my dad, but more so for my younger brother. And, he didn't want to go the traditional route. And still to this day, I feel like there's still a little bit of tension that they're trying to get through. What his vision is for what he sees as his future, and what my dad sees as what is successful for him, his future. And I think that speaks across maybe the entire film. I can speak to probably like maybe 6 or 7 scenes where it's like, all right, he's trying to get through to his dad. Junior is trying to get through to his dad about how this is what he wants to do, this is what he loves, and he has a choice and an option to do it. And it's not till later that his dad advances, which I feel like is the most powerful part of the film, is when he sits in his room and he tells him, all right, if I didn't give you anything, I gave you a choice. And that kind of brings it full circle. But Xavier, Junior, just say, all right, cool, like my dad finally understands. And I mean, at some point, I think that my dad will get to that point.
Be patient.
I'm still waiting. I can relate to that that too. I actually, if I could pull up my phone, that scene particularly spoke volumes to me, and I'll read it out loud. In this life, you always have to sacrifice something for something else. Then I realized after all the sacrifices I've made, I haven't benefited from any of them. I think it was a common theme in the film. You know, we talk about resistance, we talk about pushing through that, and our culture pushes through that, our beauty, our presence, and our joy. But to shine a light, I think we spoke briefly, making our way here, that the performance or the message, at least for me when I saw it, was in the unspoken. Like just the presence, the looks, the sighs, the tiredness, you know, the fatigue that, you know, at least for me, I see my parents go through like on a daily basis. So, you know, when Xavier, to put it into perspective, striving, fighting, pushing through, and your dreams still get taken away after that. It's just so disheartening, you know, after, again, those sacrifices to get to this point, coming from another country, learning that, and the language, learning the customs, and then raising a child in that, and yeah, it really resonated deep.
So was there a moment during the film that really took you to a whole other place? Like where did it make you, or was there a moment where it made you feel like this is not actually how the Haitian household really is? Or was it just true to what you are known for a Haitian household and our culture to be like?
Actually, it was true for me. For the sake of the story, if that makes sense, it was completely true for me. The distance between my son and myself was real. My adoration for my wife was real. I fell in love with that woman, you know, on the set.
I mean, we don't want to cause no drama in here.
But it stayed.
Just on the set.
It stayed. But it just, you know, with good friends. You know, but for the sake of the story, no, for real. No, I adore that woman.
I saw how you was looking at her like,
This is my favorite actor.
Well, let's talk about the message then. I mean, you were the lead actor. Was your position in the whole process just being an actor, or were you more involved with conveying a message through this film?
Yeah, it was a bit more involved than, you know, me performing. For instance, the language. You know, the film is in 85% in Haitian. You know, I was very adamant about speaking Creole, and you know, I was adamant about speaking, you know, that I was authentic, that my folks in the hills, the countryside would understand, can relate to, yeah.
And the visuals were honestly so stunning. Yeah. Like, the picture, don't you guys agree? Like, it was really, really, really good. Was this an area that you knew of, or was it just somewhere that you just went? Was it a set? Was it familiar to you?
No, when I go to Miami, I go straight to the beach. This was my first time being in Miami we shot for 5 weeks. And I must say to you guys, you know, some of the locations where we shot, they're gone now. They no longer exist. You know, big corporations have destroyed them. And you would say white walls or gray walls, whatever, you know. Yeah.
I think that goes hand in hand with what Ben was saying earlier with the contrast, right, with the bright colors, and then like the stark concrete, the rubble, to the contrast to the blue skies, to the lush green palm trees of Florida. You know, it's like you look up and you see earth and life and hope, but then you're here and it's what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And now, as we speak, as we are speaking, the community is getting erased. You know, that monster that is at work now, as we are speaking. Actually, I want to send a shout out to another teacher of mine, professor of mine, who taught me the Augusto bar technique. Madam Gilbert is in the house. Thank you so much. This is my first time bringing a film to Boston as a lead. I've come to festivals here, you know, as a supporting actor, what have you. But this, I'm so really, you know, thankful for you guys for having taken the time to, you know, come and show love. You know, a lot of you guys I know personally, and we've created stuff for the past. But I'm really thankful for you guys for all that support. My brother, come on, man, thank you for coming. Yeah, everybody, I love you so much. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about what you just mentioned and how the cranes are everywhere over in Florida. I feel like that there might be a taste of that type of gentrification also happening here in Boston. So I just want to tap in with my Boston friends and see, like, what are your thoughts on what's going on with gentrification, or if you know have experience with that. I know I personally have had conflicting thoughts. Marlene and I, like I said earlier, we're side presents. We're working on a new building for creatives, but it's being built up in Mattapan. So, you know, something has to go down in order for it to go up. And sometimes it's a positive, sometimes it's a negative. And we're seeing that in so many different lights. And I'm wondering if you guys can speak to that in your experience of, even if it's not in Boston, just your experience with gentrification in general. It's a tough one.
It's everywhere. I mean, we can talk about it in Boston, but I think for me, so originally I was born in Brooklyn, so the majority of my childhood, I was born in Coney Island. I was like I used to live in Flatbush. But yeah, so, but my childhood consists of me spending my summers in Brooklyn. Up until I learned how to drive, that's when I stopped spending my summers there. So between the ages of like 3 to 16. Summers were there, winters were there. If I wasn't in school, summer, spring, winter vacations, that's where I was. And you know, I remember that Brooklyn. And then going back as an adult, I'm just like, what's the Williamsburg? What is Greenwich? Like those things that are like, whoa, I'm not used to seeing certain, you know, dogs or like or a Trader Joe's or what, you know, nearby. And for me, it was like it was a big culture shock for me because I'm so used to Bobby's store, or I'm so used to, you know, yeah, like so I'm used to things like that. And I think that was my one. I think that was the biggest shock for me before Boston, and then when I came to Boston, not in Boston. Later in the years, East Street had a CrossFit, so I was like, oh, interesting. So I was like, there's certain things that you start paying attention to. Like just like, this is not what I grew up with, but I do understand there is, of course, the resistance is obviously going to be one of the words today, is that like I see the change, I understand that there's good that comes with the change, but what happens to people who came before the change? And that's where displacement occurs, and when you're displaced, you're misplaced in some places. So it's also that you're taking people away from what they're used to, you're taking people away from places that they call home. Now where is home? Even in the film, she was like, this is a building. This is not home. Home is home. basically, even though it might look crazy to other people, same as dreams don't look the same to everybody. Your dream's not mine, yours is not mine. Home looks different to everybody else. So when, it looks like there's a beautification that's coming into the community, great for economics, but also it's not really great for the families that were there, and we do have to go down to the root, and that it affects the Black families mainly. It affects the more immigrant families, where it's just like you're taking them away from something that is familiar and communal. And when you take them away from that, now there's no more that nucleus connection. So.
You mentioned dogs and cats.
That wasn't a segue.
I'm just saying that anyway.
That wasn't a segue, by the way.
I'm just gonna say.
That wasn't a segue.
We don't need to go into that.
You cannot eat dog or cat.
We don't do that. This is the Can you talk to me a little bit about why that was the focus, or one of the focuses of this film was the gentrification? Why was that so important to be brought to light? And did it do the motion that it needed to do with portraying it through the film?
Well, it's, this film, Mountains, as, a narrative is also a documentary, and in real time, Little Haiti is disappearing.
So unfortunate how.
Yeah, it's disappearing. It's being effaced. It's being erased. So, it was timely that, we were able to shoot that film, that story. Like I said, some of the locations where we shot no longer exist. So, we're gonna keep this one as an archival piece. Otherwise, if no one is doing anything about Little Haiti, this is a first. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does.
I'm going to add something else. When gentrification does affect the village, the idea or I don't want to say the idea because it's not an idea of village. It just means the construct of village. Little Haiti, although I've never been, I've always noticed that was, how some people come from Vietnam, they come to Dorchester, or they go from China to Chinatown now. Like, Little Haiti is where people can go and they feel like they're still home and still have that village, still have that communal energy. That's where, again, it goes back to the simple fact of that nucleus that we talked about in regards to just that community part. And so when we are talking about gentrification, we're actually talking about dismantlement of villages.
Yeah, like Madam Square, we gotta hold it down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Serious rude, I'm so sorry.
I think the idea of justification through my lens is that it takes away the sense of community. So it's like you say, familiarity. So when you take something away, it changes the face of it. It looks different for those who are just so used to just say, all right, I'm gonna go down here and do this. And why not be loved to shoot now and this out, and then it looks different.
He speaks Creole.
I hear it.
Once that gets taken away, then it affects the generations to come, because then they can't understand what was held on for so long, right? In my household, like, moving was like a big thing to do, right? It's like, all right, we live in here, we're gonna live here forever. We're not going anywhere else. And to be displaced in justification is like it's taking away part of whatever you had. Like, I grew up with this. It's like your baby, and it's being taken away from you. So I don't like the idea of gentrification because it takes away. I do like bringing in the economics of what gentrification is, but the displacement of the individuals, I think this is more subsidy and more importance of the people who are living in those spaces.
Okay. Great. We are running up on a 3-minute mark, but we have the question that we always ask our friends whenever we're doing a panel discussion. First of all, before we ask, thank you guys so much for joining us for this time here. Something that was happening throughout the film too, and something that we represent as Side Presents is having peace with doing something that you don't actually have as your 9 to 5 or your forefront. So we always ask our friends, you know, what's your side piece? P-E-A-C-E. What brings you peace? We saw that, yeah, you like that, right? You like that, you like that. But yeah, we saw in the film that, you know, not necessarily with Xavier, but we saw with Junior, he was working his 9 to 5, but also at night he was doing his comedy. With Xavier's wife, she was, you know, monitoring the streets, but also a cross guard, yes, and also a seamstress. So what is your side piece? What is the things that you do on the side? And we'll go from Daniel all the way down. What is that thing that you do on the side that brings you peace?
On Saturday at Green Square Park, we're hosting a festival.
Yes, yes,
I'm saying my side piece then.
Jada. He said on Saturday for anybody that missed that, you know, just talk to him. Follow Kickback Boston.
Basically, you sharing your side piece with everybody. I have many side pieces. I'm pretty much a hoe. So aside from running a branding agency, I am also a photographer as well. What other side pieces? I don't know. I'm like a fake fitness trainer type person. Yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know. I'm multifaceted, so yeah.
Funny enough, side note is a position in Side Presents, I don't know, head of entertainment, that's what it is. All right, Atiban, what is your side piece?
Oh man, you know, I've been blessed, and my ancestors, my landlord imparted me with some of the few talents. You know, I'm a percussionist.
Okay.
You know, that's wrong.
Did you enjoy the drum ceremony?
A lot, you know, I have my band truly in there. You know, a few of my band members are here. You know, down there. You know, I have a band, you know, I have a clothing line. I do silk screening. I love the beach. You know, that's one of my favorite side piece. You know, I go to the beach a lot, you know, and yoga. So,
I'm a yogi, we'll talk later. Ladies and gentlemen, Atiban Nasir, thank you to the MFA for supporting this beautiful film. Share it with your friends, let them all know and have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you so much.
For On Camera, I'm with Mike Below, the only one. Until the next time.